to this edition of Like Nobody's Business. I'm Mary Beth Sewald, President and CEO of the Vegas Chamber. As you may know, March is Women's History Month, and this is a great time to celebrate women leaders of Las Vegas. And that's why I am so honored today to welcome Rosemary Vassiliadis. She's the Director of Aviation for Harry Reid International Airport, and she is one of the top leaders in Las Vegas. Rosemary, thanks so much for being here.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you.
The job that you do at the airport is so incredibly important. Can you tell us a little bit about your career and how you got to where you are today, running the eighth, if I'm correct, the eighth busiest airport in the country?
Oh, goodness. Well, let me start with, I was the first female to get a college education back in my family back in the day. Probably everybody knows I'm born and raised in Chicago, went to DePaul University and received a Bachelor of Science in accounting. From that, my life took off in that field in finance. And meanwhile, back at the ranch, I met my now husband. He dragged me across the country to Las Vegas as he was a UNLV alumni, and had an opportunity here. I was really lucky to be able to get a job with the city of Las Vegas in their brand new formed finance department a very long time ago as the city was growing in the mid 80s. And I learned so much there. From that, I got to hop over to the county, which every city person always wanted to work for the county. And I became finance director for Clark County. And then an opportunity came to the airport, to be able to go to the airport. And I did actually transfer over to the airport as the deputy director. But in my mind, it wasn't a step backwards. It was a whole entire new world, since everything that happens in this town, a large amount of it comes through the airport, and that part has done nothing but grown. So I started as deputy director, and then in 2013 became the first female director of aviation for Clark County's aviation system.
That is amazing. So you have a long track record of being a trailblazer, much less a female trailblazer, but you're just a trailblazer in general.
Well, yeah, you could call it that. You could call it stubborn, and just letting them know that, we can do this. We can do it well.
Oh man, I'm just so proud, and thank you for telling your story. So you've led the airport through some really tough times, not the least of which would have been the pandemic most recently. What are some of the lessons that you learned?
Well, those of us in aviation, especially at airports, who were in that industry at 9/11, we thought we saw everything. And little did we know what a world pandemic would do, and live through, our town shutting down, but the world shutting down, Europe being prohibited, Canada being prohibited from coming here or going there, something that we never ever lived through before. So with that, our lessons learned here is, number one, what aviation means to the community, to Southern Nevada, and really to the entire world. As an essential service, we were open the entire time. I had to have employees come and deal and work with passengers and people that were still coming through the airport. We had an unbelievable role with medical equipment being shipped here and transferred here, and medical personnel coming here being transferred or working somewhere else. So when they say essential service, they really do mean essential service. I mean, we were part of so many things that were absolutely the first stop of dealing with the pandemic. But then we had to learn of how do we get people to feel comfortable again. After 9/11, there was the slogan that went out, freedom to fly, so come to Vegas was an easy one. Like, we're not going to let them win. Here with the pandemic, however, we had to really, we started, at least at this airport, we started with our own employees. And so disinfecting are the layers and layers of protocol that went into an operation, we made very visible. So if you came through the airport in those early days after the town reopened, because we did this even when the town was closed, you would see just teams at every inch of this airport, cleaning and disinfecting. We messaged out everywhere from the screens where you see the flight information data to, of course, the overhead announcements, our advertising areas and locations on the big, video screens. Of course, we had a campaign. You saw it on our billboards. Our campaign happened to be LAS All In. What we learned again through 9/11 is people do like Vegas messaging. So we did it Vegas style with poker chips and faces of cards and different messages like that. And actually it did get national attention and was actually published from a university. So I'm really proud of my team for that, because that was done all in-house. So what we did with our employees, because we had to have people still at the front line, our office people, although we were very careful with the 6 feet apart and the acrylic little walls going up and again, layer after layer after layer, but being part of let's get ready, because we know that when this is over or subsides, they're going to come back to Vegas. That's what's always happened. And we had to be smart of what we were going to be investing in, because we had 4 months with no revenue whatsoever. We lived off of our cash reserves. I told everyone it's like going downstairs to the ATM every single day and taking out what are you going to spend for that day. That's what was happening here without airlines flying. So we had to get smarter of what we were going to invest in the return. And that took, a lot of management and a lot of analysis and stepping stones. And we're still in that stepping stone. We are not 100% recovered yet. So each day we hope to get smarter.
As humans, we're visual creatures. In fact, American adults spend nearly 6 hours each day watching video, and we're evolving and expanding across screens. Whether we're surfing the web at work, streaming our favorite show in a waiting room, or watching the game live at home, Cox Media's digital video solutions can deliver your business's message to consumers in a way that creates a meaningful connection and drives them to take action. Grow your business. Call Cox Media today.
Welcome back to Like Nobody's Business.
Well, Rosemary, I got to hand it to you, because I travel a lot and did even through the pandemic. And every time I go through your airport, first of all, I think of you personally.
Thank you.
But I saw the ad campaign with the cards and the poker chips, and I thought, oh my gosh, how clever. So kudos to you for that. And you sort of opened the door for my next question, was kind of what's the state of the airport right now, and what are some of the maybe new trends you might be seeing?
Well, we have been lucky with our leisure. Our leisure is just about back. It recovered quickly. That pent up demand for Las Vegas as the destination, it was very, very vibrant, and we felt it. Our leisure actually took a couple percentage points off of the loss of conventions and the loss of our business travelers. So we were very beneficial in that, and it's still happening. Our leisure sector is pretty big. Last year we were only a couple percentage points lower than 2019, which is our watermark year, our highest year, and several percentage points over 2020. Our conventions are now starting to come back, so we'll be watching that very closely. And of course, we have our international that has been on the slower side of recovery, but has been a very positive outlook. So we're starting to feel that right now. Each month we have more than the month before. And right now we have 3 more additional cities and not cities, excuse me, airlines coming online. And with those city pairs growing each month. So a little bit more cautious, but of course now the rules have just changed. So last week, 10 days ago, Europe has relaxed some of their protocols. Canada is starting to. So we are very, very hopeful that that's going to have a very quick recovery like our leisure did.
Well, it's interesting. You mentioned the outcroppings of a lot of new smaller airlines. And of course, I get those briefings at the LVCVA when they talk about that. How much have those smaller airlines impacted business, hopefully in a positive way for our airport?
That's a great question, Mary Beth. And it has been, what a success story it has been here. All the new ultra low cost carriers, Avilo, I could just go on and I'll forget once, I don't want to name them all, but they are all operating or going to have announced to operate out of here. It's a great market for them. Most of them, or most of their city pairs for each of the ultra low cost carriers are the second and third tier cities, we call it. So it's not a main hub city which is a little bit more expensive to operate out of. And what a great service it is for that catchment area of those residents to have nonstop service to Vegas and get to come here for a long weekend or a week, or start their West Coast visit here at Las Vegas. It has been, that's what saved us, quite honestly. We have Spirit, which is now our second largest carrier, added all during this past 2-year period. And they are now starting to go into larger cities that they haven't operated out of before, like LA, LAX, or Burbank. And it's been quite amazing, and they have been very successful. So they've been good for Vegas. It's kind of a very natural for a Vegas behavior mentality.
Wow, so Spirit is our second largest. Which is our first?
It's still Southwest.
Okay.
Southwest has been our #1 carrier for decades, probably will remain so, just about how their system works. But yeah, it's been a very interesting dynamic that these last 2 years, on seeing what the airlines are doing and how they have reacted to this. Another benefit that we had, if I may, is that because so many types of aircraft were available with every airline reducing their flights, the larger carriers, what we call the legacy carriers like Delta, United, American, they upgauge. We're getting larger aircraft that they normally send into that they normally schedule for us. And that, so that's bringing more people in for each per operation. And that has been, pretty interesting. What's going to be interesting to watch in the future is what the behavior is going to remain. And I don't think there's anyone in aviation who has a crystal ball who can say that. But what I can tell you is, back in 2008 and, through 12, during the Great Recession, we benefited greatly from our international, right? Because their dollar was so much stronger here. But our success story is those internationals stayed up until the pandemic. So we had them and they just kept on adding. And, as a board member for LVCVA, and oh my gosh, just what you do every single day, we love international, right? They spend more, they stay longer, that everything is as great as it can be. What's going to be interesting is to see, are these larger carriers going to keep the large more seats per operation, the larger aircraft in this destination, because they have been filling them. Going to be interesting to watch them.
That is absolutely fascinating. Your job must just be the most fascinating thing. I'm so enthralled to hear all these stories.
Well, thank you. Yes, fascinating could be one word to use.
That's right. One way to say it.
Just like yours, what's on your schedule doesn't matter during the day, because something always comes up, right? Whether things out of our control starts the day, in delays already when it has nothing to do with us, but that's what makes it very exhilarating.
Remember old Vegas where the customer was king? The Casablanca in Mesquite is just like Vegas used to be. Play over 40 of your favorite table games.
Play over 800 slot and video poker machines and get comps, free play, and cash back.
Get away and play 2 18-hole championship golf courses, or pamper yourself in our full-service salon and unwind in our world-class spa. Now this is my kind of getaway. Reserve your $99 golf or spa getaway today. It's just like Vegas used to be.
Welcome back to Like Nobody's Business.
Rosemary, one of the things we talk about a lot at the Vegas Chamber is professional sports. I mean, everybody's talking about it, right? Getting the Super Bowl, and now we have the Raiders and the VGK. How would you say professional sports are impacting airport business? I assume you're seeing more people coming in for the games.
I would say that it is impacting us tremendously, more than we ever thought it would. And it is both on both ends. Yes, fans are coming in. That's always going to be interesting since schedules change, but let's start with the NFL. So the very first game this past season at Allegiant Stadium that we're allowed to have fans, the Las Vegas Raiders played the Baltimore Ravens, and they had 3 commercial-sized charters come in from Baltimore for their game. I mean, these are serious people. Right. So what we have been seeing is a tremendous amount of what we call GA, the non-scheduled, the non-commercial type of activity, from, again, a charter situation to private aircraft coming in from all over the nation for these different type of games. So we're learning those behaviors now. Again, I have to always bounce back to 9/11 because we had to learn everything as rules changed every single day, and security changed forever, and the way you get on an aircraft changed forever. We are now learning the behaviors of what a football fan does, versus a hockey fan, what a Garth Brooks fan, looks like versus the Rolling Stones. I mean, and they all have different behaviors, and it's been, very energizing to be part of that. The other thing we're seeing is for special events, more people are coming through the airport. So for our leisure visitor, normally back, pre-pandemic, we had about 50% of all visitors arriving by air. However, convention business, about 70% arrive by air. Right now, we are tracking to about 70% of visitors and event attendees coming by air, either private or commercial. So we have been really tracking that and watching that to see what is it that, we have to do for a response. What's the amenities? What's the concessions? What, everything that goes into the entire experience, of course, we're part of, right? We're the first and last look. We take that seriously. We don't want them to be aggravated when they get back on that aircraft to go home, and we want them to feel very, very welcome, as soon as they get here. So that's going to take a little while, because each of these cities that have the professional sporting teams have different behaviors. So it's like the conventions. Conventions are very, very specific of what their tendencies are, and we're learning that the same for special events and sporting events.
So true. There is so much that goes into the psychology of
Mhm.
travel and tourism and aviation. You mentioned having a crystal ball a few minutes ago. What are your future plans for the airport, and especially as our tourism industry does grow? Do you have any more plans to expand or build more gates or anything?
Well, our gates are filled, so it's making them as efficient as possible, other than our international, but again, those are coming back. So we're always looking to maximize, our airport here is the only commercial airport at the moment. We have to do that. We never want to be, any type of barrier or obstruction to the growth of whatever the evolution is of this town. So we are looking to see what can we do here on property, on our airfield, on our curbs, right? It takes everything from arriving to the airport, to the airspace and taking off. So we are looking to see what is it that we need for these special events. Of course, the Super Bowl, of course, we're already planning for that, like the rest of the town is. Do we need more ramp space? What do we need that we're going to be able to accommodate it? Those studies are taking place as we speak, and we're soon going to have a plan forward, so we will be ready for that. We were very lucky with our FAA tower partnering with LAX or LA's several FAA towers during the Super Bowl, that just happened there, to have a lot of lessons learned. So our controllers were able to work it and see it, so they know what to expect here. And they included us, the airport, every step of the way, and that was invaluable to have that real life experience. So we're looking down that road, but at the end of the day, we have resumed our plans for a second commercial airport, about 35 miles due south of here as the crow flies, as they say, in the Ivanpah Valley. So it will be a supplemental airport. So it will be similar to O'Hare, Midway, LaGuardia, or JFK and LaGuardia, Reagan National and Dulles. It will be a second airport here in Southern Nevada. And we are working furiously on that. That takes quite a long time to build an airport from nothing, from fallow land. So we're looking probably 15 years out from now.
Okay, that's fascinating. I've heard rumblings of that. So remind me, I'm sorry, what's the nearest larger, or community to that area? Is Las Vegas the largest community there?
Well, it's a little bit south of Jean.
Yeah, okay.
And it's 5 miles north from state line.
Okay. How exciting.
It is very exciting. It's the only brand new airport on FAA's docket for the next, 15 years is about what they plan out. So that it will be amazing to have that synergy going, especially that location where there's going to be, a lot of different growth, a lot of diversification. Clark County has, and everyone in Southern Nevada has a lot of different plans to keep on growing. And that is absolutely causing a need for a second airport.
Well, how exciting is that? Now we'll be a dual airport destination.
We will. They'll be connected, but yes, we will.
Absolutely. Well, Rosemary Vassiliadis, thank you so much. We appreciate your time and your leadership in overseeing our amazing airport as we welcome millions of tourists to the destination every single year. So thank you so much for all you do.
Oh, well, you're very welcome, and thank you. It's partners like you and your organization that make us all successful. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much. All right, that'll do it for this edition of Like Nobody's Business. I'm Mary Beth Sewald for the Vegas Chamber.
2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 1, 2.
Welcome to Preview Las Vegas here on the field at Allegiant Stadium. I am just so proud and honored today. On behalf of the Vegas Chamber, we're so honored to have all of you.
The future of Nevada and the future of Las Vegas is as bright as it has ever been. And we're here in large part because of the sacrifices, creativity, and dogged determination so many of you today have exemplified.
We are not battle worn. We are battle reborn.
When you talk about battle reborn, I can't think of a better motto. Born, reborn, and guess what? That cycle keeps coming around again.
We are continuing to press forward. We have a much more stabilized economic base than we did 22 months ago.
What's next for Las Vegas? It's going to be an unbelievable place.
Southern Nevada has a robust, resilient future.
We always bounce back stronger.
You've never been to a Preview Las Vegas like this one.
We had an incredible Preview 2022 Las Vegas. We can't wait to see you next year in 2023.
I'm Mary Beth Sewald here at the Nevada Strong Start. We are so excited today. Chairwoman Kirkpatrick, tell us why you initially got involved with making this thing happen in the first place.
So really, we have a lot of areas that have childcare deserts where there's no childcare around, and so we really want to make sure that kids have a healthy, safe place to go, and that parents can be comfortable knowing that their kids are in a licensed facility.
And you know what? It's so important that we're able to get people back to work, but these individuals and employees need a safe place and a great place to have their childcare. And so you made a program possible through the Vegas Chamber that we're able to provide resources really that helps our childcare facilities provide those resources. So why was that piece of it important to you?
Well, really, I think it's important because, as you know, many of these are small business owners and getting started, and the Chamber, you know, they provide access to health care so that they can get good insurance rates. They have networking so that they can get a good clientele. And so I really think that you guys are great to be a partner of ours, and we look forward to growing that industry. That is one industry that during the pandemic that we didn't know how to reach, and so I thank you all for being a great partner.
Well, thank you so much, really, because it's all about getting people the great childcare they need so they can get back to work, right?
Yep, absolutely.
All right. Chairwoman Kirkpatrick, thank you again for everything you do for all of us here in the state of Nevada.
All right, thank you.
At it again in 110, and the fire's just starting.